Daigo. Oh, he just walks up. Oh my god. Oh my god. All right, that was the riskiest thing.
Oh my god.
And he throws it with a Super Daigo Umehara.
Real talk, getting knocked down in fighting games can be quite scary, as the standing players are given free range to do whatever they want to continue their onslaught, while the downs player is limited in how they'll be able to get back up. Okizeme, often referred to as Oki, are actions taken by the attacking player to maintain momentum over their opponents during their wake-up animations. The goal of these offensive sequences are to restrict and limit the defending players' options. In Street Fighter 6, the player who was knocked down cannot be hit until they get up fully. Any attack done within their range in the meantime just goes through them. This will be important for later. When a player is on the ground, they can choose two ways to get up. First is to rise normally, getting up in place, and the second, they can do a back rise by pressing any two buttons to roll backwards and create space. If the downs player is in a corner, the option to back rise becomes neutralized due to both options having the same get up timing. When the player gets up fully, they can choose many different options. They can do nothing, block, jump, or perform a reversal attack. Reversal attacks can be any attack input but must be unleashed at the first available frame for the players waking up. In this scenario, speed matters, so many players will often go with the fastest attacking option like a 4-frame jab. Another option, while risky, are attacks with invincibility on startup like an overdrive shoryuken or certain super arts, which can oftentimes turn the tide when faced with overwhelming pressure. Speaking of pressure, the most important Okizeme option to understand is the concept of the meaty attack. In its most basic form, a meaty attack is the act of throwing out a move that will hit an opponent on frame 1 of their wake up, aka the earliest that they can act. Doing this correctly means that unless the opponent blocks or responds with that risky invincible reversal, they will get hit, and it will most likely be a counter hit which opens up the attacker's combo potential immensely. So yeah, probably not the best idea to just randomly mash buttons on wake up. If you are just starting to learn the game, some characters have very easy intuitive moves that you can perform meaties with. Characters with slow or delayed projectiles like Juri's Saihashos are perfect for this, as you'll be able to launch one after natural combo enters for Juri. In this example, using Juri's projectile as a meaty after her combo offers 9 frames of advantage if the opponent were to block. If the opponent presses any non-invincible button, then Juri will get a counter hit offering a massive plus 15 frames of advantage. Every attack in fighting games have a set amount of startup frames, active frames, and recovery frames. The startup frames determine how long it takes until an attack becomes useful, so when we talk about 15 frames of advantage or 9 frames of advantage like our previous example, it's important to note that one of Juri's best combo starter, her crouching heavy punch, has 7 frames of startup. So regardless of if her projectile hits the opponent or they block it, Juri will be able to walk forward, use this move, and still not be punished for it. During the active frames, attacks are able to deal damage. Most attacks tend to have more than 1 active frame. Bigger and slower attacks often have more active frames than faster attacks. Attacks with higher active frames are especially scary for meaties because fighting game attacks and frame advantage are often designed around the move connecting with an opponent on their first active frame. For example, Ryu's standing medium punch has 5 startup frames, 4 active frames, and 11 recovery frames. On block, this move leaves Ryu at a disadvantage by 1 frame. As shown by the yellow bar, this move deals 14 frames of block stun. Now some may be confused by the fact that if you recover after 11 frames, but deal 14 frames of block stun, wouldn't you have advantage at that point? Well, here's the spicy part. Regardless of whichever active frame you hit with, the attack will deal the same amount of block stun and hit stun. In the most common case, the first active frame is going to be the one that connects, so each move is designed around actually having enough block stun or hit stun to account for the extra active frames the character will have to sit through before they can move again. So Ryu's medium punch actually has 15 frames of recovery because he has to wait the active frame that connected with the opponent alongside the 3 remaining active frames that the move has, and then the 11 recovery frames, making for 15 total. In an Oki scenario, there is no hurt box on the knockdown enemy until they are fully up on their feet and standing, allowing the Ryu player to intentionally miss the first couple active frames of the medium punch. If Ryu hits on the very last active frame of the attack, that being frame 9 of his standing medium punch, Ryu will still deal 14 block stun to the enemy, but only has to wait the 1 active frame and then the 11 recovery frames before he can move again, turning what was once a disadvantageous move into something that now gives frame advantage. With 2 additional frames of advantage, the enemy's fastest non-invincible option will now be slower than Ryu's light punch or light kick, creating a frame trap. If the enemy were to press any button that is not invincible, they'll be giving the attacking player a counter hit. Meaty setups can be further augmented by Drive Rush. Drive Rush augmented normals deal 4 additional frames of hit stun or block stun, adding more meat to your meaty setup. Having a good time? Hit that like button and subscribe for more Street Fighter 6 content. Thanks! The two most simple ways to escape a meaty attack is to react with a wake up drive parry or an invincible reversal. Some meaty attack setups, like the safe jump, are meant to answer the invincible reversal option. By varying the timing of executing a jumping attack as the opponent wakes up, the attacker can time the attack in a way that allows the player to hit the opponent with the jump attack, while at the same time landing just in time to block if the opponent wakes up and chooses violence. Nice. On a technical level, while most invincible reversal may seem very fast, not all of them are instant. Most of them will have around 2 to 5 frames of startup, and that's the trick to safe jumps. Even if the jump attack was active frame 1 of the reversal, the attacking player will be able to cancel that attack by landing on frame 2 and then blocking. While the timing may vary from distance to characters, it is still a very scary threat that you have to be aware of.
So you can see this little cat and mouse game between them, and wow, what an opening for infiltration.
To start out with max damage like that is pretty great.
Oh, what side was that on?
Another offensive option is the cross-up. Some characters, depending on their distance from the knockdown player, can initiate a jump attack that can be hard to visually determine which side both players are on, making it hard to properly input the block or a motion input, making cross-up attacks harder to be reversaled against. Even non-strike moves, like a normal throw, can be meaty to beat a reversal jab. Throws used in this way, however, will always lose to a neutral jump, an invincible reversal, or a command grab. While a throw itself is less rewarding than a normal meaty setup, mixing this in is a great way to deter players from answering your meaty setups with a drive parry, because if you grab and throw anybody who's doing a parry, you deal extra damage. Now that you have a better understanding of Okizeme and ways to practice the concept, it is important to understand the essential core of why it works: respect. Okizeme is a way of communicating and checking your opponent's knowledge and patience. If your opponent doesn't respect you and continues to mash invincible reversal on you, you must punish them consistently before you can start to apply Oki again. If your opponent respects you way too much and only blocks on wake up, you'll have to start mixing in throws or ambiguous cross-ups to test their resolve. Much like the defending player, Okizeme is not a guarantee that your offense will work. What Okizeme is the power to limit your opponents into very few options. And with those limited options, you'll have a much easier time predicting what they'll do next. And since we're on the topic of predicting what the player will do next, I've compiled a list of mistakes that you, me, everyone will continually make within the first 50 or so hours of the game. These mistakes can easily turn into habits if we are not careful, so head over to that video and start to identify the mistakes you're making right now. My name is Varsona, and I'll see you in the next video.